God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Good morning and welcome to 10 with Tom on this Tuesday morning. And those are words that you've probably heard before. Words from what we know as the Serenity Prayer. It's a prayer often heard in churches, often a part of recovery groups for various addictions and behaviors. Wonderful words to live by. Accepting the things we cannot change, facing the things that we can change and doing something about it, and the wisdom to know which things we can change and which things we can't. You know, we are in a time that is certainly unexpected, certainly unpredictable, and so out of control. And yet learning to accept those things can be so important. I was reading in a devotional the other day where it says, when you encounter situations that you cannot change, you must learn the wisdom of acceptance. And you must learn to trust God. And that's really what this is all about in this time, is trusting God through all of this unknown. In 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 18, we read, "He is the Lord. Let him do what he thinks is best." And so being able to trust God to do what's best, even in these life-altering circumstances. You know, sometimes we have to accept life on its terms, not necessarily our own. Life often has a way of unfolding, not the way that we want it to, but just as it does. And sometimes there's very little we can do to change the things that we're faced with. And so when events happen that are way beyond our control, we have a choice. We can either learn the art of acceptance, or we can make ourselves miserable as we struggle to try and change the things that are unchangeable. You think about all the things that we would like to change right now. Being able to get back and do whatever we want. Get back with our friends at school. Get back to work. Get back to our trips that we've planned that are being missed. Be able to walk in a normal graduation ceremony. Be able to go to sporting events and look forward to the football season and marching band and all the things that will happen in the fall. All of those things are up in the air. And so how do we deal with that? Do we accept that as something we can't change? And do we find other ways to become productive during that time? You know, we must entrust to God the things that we can't change and say, God, this is in your hands. And so we trust you for it. And once we've done that, then we can prayerfully and faithfully begin to tackle the important work that he has placed before us. And that is doing something about the things that we can change and doing it sooner rather than later. You know, so when we look at some of the things that we can change during this time, we can change our attitudes toward people. We can change some behaviors that we need to get into, some habits we need to build into our lives. Maybe some of you have started an exercise routine just to get a little bit of fresh air, and that's a positive thing. Or you're finding ways to spend more time with your family doing something fun. Game nights I see are coming together. I hear of people that are making Monday nights their binge watching TV night together, where they just pick a show and they start going through it together as a family and getting a lot of laugh and fun out of that. So ways to spend time together. That's something that we can change, and we're making positive changes through that. So the question for us is, can we summon the courage and the wisdom to accept life on its own terms? Or are we constantly going to be fighting it? I think we show good judgment when we accept the things that we can't change and allow God to use those things for good in our lives. In the book of Job, chapter 22, we read these words: "Give in to God, come to terms with him, and everything will turn out just fine." I love that. The thought from the message there that everything will be okay. And let's accept this time and use it for what it's worth. All right. And in Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 and 12, and this is the Message version on that as well. "I've learned by now to be quite content, whatever my circumstances. I'm just as happy with little as with much, and with much as with little." I found the recipe for being happy, whether full or hungry, hands full or hands empty. And obviously that recipe for being happy is having the joy of the Lord in your life. And so we encourage you to look to do that each and every day. So as hard as it is to accept all these things that are going on, again, know that God is in control. And I love these words from the man who we named our city after, St. Augustine, or as some like to call him, St. Augustine. Trust the past to the mercy of God. Trust the present to his love. And trust the future to his providence. What a way to live our lives. And it's all about trusting God. Now, we should be learning from our past, but we should never allow ourselves to become stuck in our past. We're constantly moving forward. What's behind us is done. And so each new day is a fresh start. And the same is true for the things that we've missed during this pandemic time. Don't get bogged down by the things that you've missed. But let's look ahead to what God has for us next. Because I think when we start to emerge from this, there are going to be a lot of incredible reunions and opportunities to do some amazing things together. And so let's build toward those and not dwell on the things that we've lost through this time. Then, once we have made peace with the past, we are then free to live more fully in the present, enjoying today, enjoying tomorrow, enjoying this week, and enjoying the days ahead. And that's precisely the kind of things that we should be doing. So, I don't know what you're most looking forward to as we look ahead. For me, it's getting together. It's seeing faces. It's hearing your laughter, hearing your stories. It's playing games again. It's being able to share God's love and truth with you from God's Word as we look at it together. It's being engaged in our Bible study classes on Sunday morning. It's looking forward to our time of confirmation in the fall that many of you will be involved in. It's reconnecting with our friends at Reverb. It's reconnecting with folks at school as we begin to resume in the fall. And I know you're not thinking about fall just yet because you're still getting ready to wrap up this school year. And so finish strong. Give it your best. Even though you don't see people looking over your shoulder as much as you do at school, know that you want to finish with your best so that you have momentum as you start into next year. And so whatever it is that you're looking forward to, look forward to it eagerly, with excitement. And again, just take one day at a time, accepting things as they are. Now, I do want to share this last thing from the Serenity Prayer. What I read at the beginning today is how we often remember the Serenity Prayer, but this prayer by Reinhold Niebuhr was more than just those few lines. And so I'd like to close this morning with the full Serenity Prayer so that you can understand that prayer in its fullest context and understand the beauty and the depth of that Serenity Prayer. So we're going to close today with that. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. Have a great day. I love you guys, and we will talk to you again tomorrow on 10 with Tom.